My name is Abisola Olusoya, Honourable Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Systems, Lagos State. The objective behind the rebranding, renaming, rechristening of the ministry from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems, I think it's actually an evolution. I recollect years back, this ministry used to be known as Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives. From there, cooperatives was taken out of the way for it to just become the Ministry of Agriculture. But in the last couple of years, it is evident that agriculture is not just a small boxed-in sector, and I think that's the perception a lot of people have about it. Agriculture is actually end-to-end. There's an entire ecosystem that works to ensure that we have food on our table, we have food in our kitchens, we have food on our plate, and as such, taking out those actors, it doesn't benefit anyone, and at the end of the day also, it more or less keeps the actors in silos. And when people don't understand how interconnected they are, then we continue to have the kind of problems we have. When you say food systems is all encompassing. It means from the research institutes to the seedling providers to those working in the labs, genetic lab scientists and what have you, to the person providing irrigation equipment, to the manufacturer of those irrigation equipment, to the farmer himself or herself, to the logistics provider, to the person making the bags or the packaging, to the person in charge or owning warehouses and storage facilities, cold storage, dry storage, whatever it is that you want to name it, to the processor, to the marketer, to the distributor. Every one of us is a part of that ecosystem, or all of these people I've mentioned, they're part of that ecosystem. So it's a food systems. So agriculture is not just domiciled with the farmer who produces and then that's the end result. So all of the interventions of government in the past, it's usually tailored, maybe I'll say 70-80% to producers, leaving processors and marketers largely out of the loop, or just giving them a measly 20%. So when you say food systems, it's all encompassing, and then different legs of the system also get to have their day. There's a department that was newly created, one out of 3 new departments in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems, and that is the Department of Agricultural Produce Quality Assurance. I don't know if I'm even saying it well because it's a mouthful, but this department is actually in charge of ensuring quality assurance for agricultural produce. We see what is happening in the last decade or so. You see malpractices around food. So it's one thing for the farmer to grow food, to raise livestock, to rear or to grow fish and what have you. But then when you have people utilizing elements or utilizing or just not using global best practices, and you see also that there's a rise in a massive increase in the kind of diseases, and then also when you talk about resistance to even to drugs or to treatment, then it is worrisome. We say that food is actually the medicine for the body, but as it is now, it looks like people are engaging in practices that is actually making food poison to the body. We have a responsibility here that as much as we are enablers of those who grow food, we should also take responsibility to ensure that people do it under the right conditions, and then every other actor in the chain also falls in line with that. So that led to the creation of what we call the Lagos State Food Systems Marshals. These are officers from different departments in the ministry, from the Veterinary Services Department, Agri Services, from LSADA, that is the Lagos State Agricultural Development Authority extension officers, to forestry and what have you, fisheries department, livestock department. And the idea around it is that these are experts who understand and who are knowledgeable about how those foods should be grown, how they should be preserved, how they should be stored, how they should be transported up until you get it into your homes. And so the several other actors that will be managing or in charge of these food items should actually be sensitized, should be taught how these foods should actually be preserved and what have you, even up until market. So that led to the creation of the Food Systems Marshals, and the idea around it is to ensure your safety, my safety, and therefore the safety of the future generation. Like I said, I think it is a very broad ministry, serving I think the kind of stakeholders we engage with in this ministry, I'm not sure. I know other ministries will have, lots of stakeholders, but I think in the agriculture and food system space, I think the stakeholders are endless, and the reason is not far-fetched. Even you as a consumer, you're a stakeholder of us. In fact, you are the ultimate stakeholder. So it means from the person who produces your meat, to the person who sells your meat, to the person who carries your meat to market is a stakeholder of ours. The person who grows your onion, your tomato, your pepper, your mango, anything at all that you consume, that person is a stakeholder of ours. And not just those who grow, those who process, those who market, they are all stakeholders of ours. So when you have this wide span of stakeholders, definitely you must have the right experts also, to be able to manage and to be able to keep everyone on their toes. So that makes this ministry a ministry vast in knowledge, but we can't also do it alone. That is why we have partners in the likes of FAO, World Bank, IFC, AFDB, Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, NERSAL, NICET, NERSAL, School of Oceanography, NIFOR, mention it, IITA, and then when you talk about multilateral agencies as well, bilateral agencies, it's vast. JICA, it's all there, and everyone understands that food is critical. So the multi-dimensional, hydra-headed level of engagement that is required ensures that this ministry is actually critical, and we are proud to say that at least we have that responsibility placed on us. So we hope to deliver to your standard. So in terms of advocacy, the creation of the Food Marshals, the idea is not to put punitive measures on people. It's just a creation of the Department of Agricultural Produce Quality Assurance, as I mentioned earlier. The idea is to sensitize. I'm sure a lot of us were on WhatsApp groups. We see videos every now and then. I still received a video yesterday that I shared on the ministry WhatsApp group, where a man he's supposed to roast peanuts. He's supposed to roast granules. We all know how granules is roasted in a large open pan. Sometimes I think they use sand and then they put the granules. And that's part of what creates the flavor and the aroma of granules. But guess what these guys were doing? They actually poured acid. So rather than take the time to do it the traditional way for us to have the right nutrients and all of that, they rather poured acid on the raw granules, and they just waited a little bit for the acid to fry the nuts. Now, you and I would consume that, we'll feed that to our children, and a few years down the line, we are wondering, I exercise, I eat healthy, but then I'm having illnesses. People are getting or having all forms of cancers. Young people are having high blood pressure that they shouldn't be having. Just name it. All sorts of diseases are creeping up, and it is alarming. So when you have this happening, it's important that we sensitize people. How red meat is sold is critical. We have a culture here where people believe that when you go to buy meat and your meat is cold, it means don't buy the meat is stale. But that is not true. when beef or cow is slaughtered, you are not actually supposed to buy it when it is warm, but it's easy for the transmission of zoonotic diseases at that time. But when the meat has gone through a period of refrigeration, it means that whatever bacteria or zoonotic or viruses or whatever it is that is there, it actually has been contained. And by the time you take it home to cook, that actually kills it or eliminates it completely. But we don't seem to understand that. We feel when the meat is fresh, it means blood should be oozing out of it, it should be warm and all of that. And these are not the right practices. But by reason of tradition and culture, we assume that that is how it should be. So when you have food marshals coming out to say, no, that is not the right way, global best practices, global standards necessitate that you should refrigerate the meat before selling. When global best practices say that this is how you should actually even barbecue your meat. We eat a lot of suya in this country. We eat roasted meat. People use open charcoal. People use all sorts. People use tires to even burn. That is wrong, because you will be having carbon effect or carbon soot on your food, and these are the things that cause cancer. So there's just a wide range of things to cover, and we've seen that we need to advocate, we need to sensitize, we need to partner with different bodies, local governments, officials, community development associations, estates, just name it. We need to let people understand that the way their food is being handled, the way their food is being preserved, the way their food is being produced, there are standards, and we want to ensure that those standards are kept. People don't realize that cows can actually have tuberculosis, let me put it, or they are harbingers of tuberculosis. So when a cow is slaughtered, the veterinary services department will conduct before it is slaughtered, they'll conduct a pre-mortem, and after slaughter they'll conduct a post-mortem, just to ensure that the cow that was killed, and after it's been killed, it is fit for consumption. In the same vein, even after slaughter, you shouldn't slaughter on the floor. You can just get germs in there, and before you know it, it gets into your home. You may not even cook the food as well as you should to kill the viruses or bacteria in it. You consume it, later you start to develop diarrhea, you start to maybe have food infection. You may think that it is really nothing much, it's something that can be contained, but hey, it doesn't take much for something to get into your body, a strange or a foreign body, and it can kill. Issues around cholera, for instance, it stems from that as well. And then you see things like people using carbide to ripen plantain. They all have effect. You see people even using chemicals to ripen mangoes and oranges. You see people keeping food inside the gutter and bringing it out later to wash and sell to human beings. Your watermelon that you buy, you see people using gutter water, that's water from the drainage, to water the plant whilst the watermelon is still in the ground. And tell me, watermelon is 90% water. So by the time you are eating your watermelon, don't think that nature will just automatically change the watermelon from utilizing bad water to now turn into something good. You are eating something that eventually could kill. So there are so many strange acts that people are engaging in just for money. Even your palm oil. People use coloring agents to make your palm oil red in color just so that you buy. Jollof rice, some vendors, some restaurants, rather than invest in buying pepper, tomato, onions, they don't even use that. They just put the rice, use a coloring agent to make the rice look red. And you don't know what those coloring agents are. And then they sell it to you and you're whacking the rice every single day. You are slowly buying poison into your system and killing yourself. So even our, lifespan, it is diminishing by the day. But I think what fears me the most is that we have a younger generation, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas particularly, children who are growing up in an era where people are utilizing all sorts of means and ways just to make money off food. And this generation, if we are not careful, we'll just be raising a generation that is sick, unhealthy, and therefore will become unproductive. And I mean, it's just a matter of time before that wipes out the human race. So we have a responsibility, you and I have a responsibility to ensure that that does not happen, and we safeguard the lives of our children.